folks, go to Tyberius D on Twitch and follow him on YouTube if you want to like hear smart people talk about smart things smartly. Like that's where you go. Now I'm going to ask you, Tiberius, and your professional opine, because I asked a couple of basic questions to the audience throughout this evening. Is this worth sending our sons and daughters to go fight for? Is this something that you deem worthy of fighting for? How long do you think this is going to last? And then the last one that I put is, it's more of a statement, but like, how far, what's Putin going to do? Whatever he can. He'll keep going until he gets pushback. Where's that going to be? Poland? Lithuania? Latvia? Estonia? East Germany? East Berlin? Like where is he going to get the actual pushback? Because what a man can do is what a man will do. So if he can do it, he will do it. So that's a unfortunate but valid question. But folks, I have returned. I splashed my face off, so I'm ready for this one, folks. Because, folks, we have a returning guest here. We have somebody who last time he came, he enthralled you with his acumen. We now have a returning guest from the Mask Off podcast. He is, you will not be able to believe that he can be the man that you can see. The one and only Tyberius fucking D. How are we this evening, sir?
I appreciate it, man. It's good to be here. Man, you do those intros well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, all right, we got to do a quick, do we do a lot of American flag or way up close?
You know what? I think you're the better pick for that. But if you want this opinion, I'll let her chime in just a second.
Nice. Well, for now, we'll go with this because I'm very, very curious. You were talking, you had a great, one of the better intros to what I'll even call a hook line. It's like, oh, it's a great, like, I know what Putin's master plan is. Well, shit, fire and save me matches. I got to hear what is this master plan now. So Tiberius, I got to give you credit. There's very few times where I give another person the complete floor here in the K.O.E nation, but this is going to be one of those few occasions. But before I do that, folks, you need to definitely go check him out on YouTube, Tiberius D. Check him out on Twitch right here. And also, folks, if you get any like value from this conversation or the other any other conversation, check this guy out at patreon.com/Tiberius_D to put just a shekel back into the bucket to try and give some value back into this conversation, folks. You can help us out at Big Buck and Empire on Facebook during our Thirsty Thursdays and Buck and Friday shows where you donate stars. You can do that way on Friday tomorrow. But tonight, let's help out Tiberius D, if you would. But now, Tiberius, now that shameless promotion is out of the way, I am really quite enthralled. So you're telling me you know what is Putin's master plan. Folks, audiences, get your pens out ready. Tiberius, the floor is yours.
I appreciate it. I want to thank you for that wonderful intro before I begin, because holy crap, man, you are the master. You do it right. And if you guys do end up helping me, whether it's a sub on YouTube, a follow on Twitch, or throw me a little money on Patreon, PayPal, that kind of thing, really appreciate it. So let me sell you on that real quick. A lot of people are talking about the grand plan and what's unfolding right now in Eastern Europe, particularly in Ukraine. But I think people are missing a little bit of the forest through the trees. A lot of people are talking about regime change and largely the puppet government of Ukraine being put into power. And that's probably all true, actually. I do think certain parts of the eastern part will actually be formally annexed into the Russian Federation. I do think that we are going to see a puppet government put in place in Western Ukraine. But I do not believe that is the actual major goal of this operation. What I believe that major operation is actually to make a giant human wave of Ukrainians that are going to go smacking in to our NATO friends and our NATO allies, particularly Poland. Now, the provisional estimates in this are a little out there, right? We don't know how many people can possibly be part of this. But the instances are somewhere between 1 and 5 million. Yes, it is a large range, but this is what is actually surprising me about this invasion. Kiev could have fallen yesterday if they wanted to. They have the operational ability to do that. They have not. Now we can talk about whether Kiev is actually more fortified than the Russians want to tag into, or they want to slow roll their armor into these areas where they encircle the city and they cut it off from outside resources and then give it a siege. There's many ways to take these places, but the Russians are actually slow rolling this invasion, believe it or not. If the Russians wanted to, they could advance very far, very quickly. They have the airborne and mobile assets to do this in a way where half the country could be underway by now. And the fact that they haven't dropped in an airborne division on Kiev, they have dropped in an airborne regiment by the looks of it, is that the city's not taken, which is very surprising. So what do I think that's going to be? I think they're slow rolling this invasion to scare the living dog shit out of anybody and everybody that they can so that they start packing and going west. Because I think the main operation of this is not to defeat NATO by drawing them into a fight, but by defeating NATO, because they just sent 3 million Ukrainian refugees into Poland, and Poland isn't equipped to deal with that. And so the Poles have to go asking the rest of Europe, hey, we need help with this. We're not only are we scared shitless of being invaded ourselves, but we have to deal with 3 million people who we cannot house and cannot feed. And it's going to take a unified front coalition to do that. You're going to need help from the Americans, from the French, from the Germans. This is 3 million people that we're talking about here, most likely. 1 million on the low end, but it could be as high as 5. And if somebody says no, what happens then? The Poles are going to keep sending them. And they're going to send them off into Germany. They're going to send them off into France. They're going to send them off into Western Europe. And we saw back during the Syrian refugee crisis what happens to Europe when a wave of migrants, refugees, what you call them, roll through. This is, I think, the true master plan here is that he wants to defeat NATO without firing a shot. And that's by sending a human wave of refugees into Europe where they know that they can't deal with them easily and effectively while, having to deal with the internal divisions of Europe. He's trying to break Europe.
Putin saw the great personality weakness of the West there. And he's going to, because let's be frank, like a lot of Western nations, like they do kind of pride themselves on some shape, form, or measure of mercy. And so there we have, wow, Putin's exploiting what folks in the West consider a virtue, and now they're, wow, fuck me. That is perfect. I mean, it's a way that you defeat the West without firing a shot. Got to give Putin credit. He fucking gets conquest. He fucking understands it quite well, and
he understands geopolitics. This is a former This is a former KGB agent that was in Berlin when the Soviet Union fell apart, and had to figure out how to get home to protect his friends and loved ones and family in the midst of a civilizational collapse. That haunts him. That absolutely haunts him. This is why the Russians are doing this. They don't want to ever see that again because NATO was the instrument that hemmed in and blockaded the Soviet Union. And it brought down the Soviet Union. What is Russia with NATO on its doorstep? The shadow of the empire versus the super alliance that defeated it. This is Panic Mode 101.
Oh, fuck. And yeah, Lester, I sent you an invite. If you want to come on, feel free. But yeah, I like the one thing I didn't take into account was, to me, I thought Putin was going to look at this purely from cost benefit analysis. Like that was how I figured he was looking at this. I didn't take into the account this cultural, psychological aspect of right, sweet. I didn't take that into account at all, that there would be this idea of we must reunite the Soviet Union, and this is like a deep psychological trauma for people in the upper echelons of Russia's government. I really didn't anticipate that, and that was.
I think the West has actually misidentified this. Like people are talking about like rebuilding the Soviet Union. I don't think so. Number one, Putin's not a communist. He's a nationalist, but he doesn't actually remember. He doesn't like what the communists did to Russia. He thinks that they fucking gutted it. He's probably tried.
Yeah, well, I remember an interview I read from him a couple of years ago, and now all makes sense now, where he talked about like he didn't like just like you're saying, the communist government, like even when the Soviet Union collapsed, he thought one of the great tragedies of the 20th century was the dissolution of that union. They didn't have to be communist anymore, but they needed to stay as one whole union, and he thought that was one of the great tragedies of the 20th century. And now, like thinking back on that, like it all suddenly makes a humongous amount of sense. It's like, okay, so, and it's just bizarre because now where does it stop? Like, where at what point could you fucking stop this? Like, does he go to Poland next? Does he go to
The next,
Lithuania next? Does he go to East Berlin?
The next place that will be a not combat zone, but the next place of active interference will be the Baltic states. He is going to have to, if security interests are absolutely concerning, he's going to have to push that because there's nothing else to push. Technically, Moldavia is the only other country in this area that is not a NATO member that he can directly touch. Everywhere else is already a NATO member. So.
And I'm sorry, Tony G suddenly hit on. Be sure to be on Big Buck and Empire Dog and Chicken Show tomorrow night, 8:30 Central. I, Tony G, will start the show by chugging a beer for all of you. Well, thank you, Tony. That is awesome. But yes, Big Buck and Empire, Facebook, YouTube, tomorrow night, 8:30 for the Dog and Chicken Show. You got to be there, folks. And yeah, Tony G, he's the fucking man. But so the Baltics of all fucking places. I figured we were fucking done with fucking bloodshed in the Baltics for at least another fucking 80 years. But fuck, really.
The more history comes, the more it repeats itself. It's like
I'm just having the minute you said like I'm having flashbacks to the 90s. It's like, wait, what the fuck? We're doing the Baltics again? Like, let me get like is Liberia going to start another fucking civil war here in a few minutes? Just get all the fucking 90s greatest hits going all over again? Like, Jesus. Like, it's weird how quickly our world changed.
Yeah.
In a few short hours. Like, 48 hours ago, this talk would have seemed like a crazy person saying things. Like,
and that's the problem. That's actually the real problem here is that no one adjusted to the world that came after the Soviets collapsed. The American foreign policy stayed the same way for 10 years after the collapse. It changed into the wars in the sandbox, and we forgot everything else that was going on. We let China rise up in our absence. We let Russia basically flounder under the inadequacies of its own leadership. And you had strong men come to power, such as Putin. Now you have Xi Jinping in China. Like, guys, I'm smelling like World War II vibes again. Really bad. People compared it to World War One to some degree. And the last panel I was on, I actually do think more World War II memes are here. You've got the strong men that come from the weaknesses and failures of their governments and of their institutions. And now they're running the show, and they're not playing by the same rules. Guys, we won the Cold War, but we didn't do the maintenance to make sure that the world was going to be a peaceful and productive place. And sooner or later, this was coming.
I always figured like the Trump trade war, that was going to be the big deal. You know what I mean? Like that was how we were going to fight our wars going forward because unfortunately, like here's the real problem is like you said, like you don't think US troops are going to touch down because we really can't. Because if you have two nuclear powers in an open shooting war with each other, at that point, it's just a short show off and fireworks show of look how pretty our planes and our jets and our guns are before the inevitable nuclear exchange. That's all that is. It's just like let's have fun with all of our toys for a few minutes before we destroy everything. Like
there is a legitimate question in that. I'm not going to say one way or another if we're going to see an open nuclear exchange like that. I think what could have happened and what should have happened is that the United States should have preempted. We are our primary power is deterrence. If we had been in Ukraine before this piped off, this would be a different story. But we didn't take the proactive action. And here's the thing. I don't blame anybody for shitting on the idea that we're going to defending Ukraine. 6,000 miles from Washington. It's no strategic or vital interest for America or the American citizens. It's a pride show. We can say we defended a nation when they protected their borders and sovereignty because we like them. That's all it is. Just furthering the American empire. And that's fine with me, actually. I think the American empire is actually really cool.
Well, it was like earlier in our side chat, and I won't say anything that anybody else said. I'll just talk about my own comment. But I was being a smart ass and popping off at the mouth, and somebody asked, so what is America's interests in this particular side of the world? And I was popping off at the mouth, couldn't help it. And I said, Hunter Biden's paycheck. That's
I saw that. I was dying.
It was like, yeah, that's what we're like. Yeah, so the elites can continue to pilfer money and with sending their idiot fucking children and grandchildren over to Ukraine to fucking skim a little off the top. And so, like, I was like, so is that really worth sending our sons and daughters for, so that the fucking elite political class can keep themselves a little fatter and a little happier? To me, it's like, I just don't see that being worth it.
If you're putting it in that degree, no, it's not worth it at all. The question is what comes next. And this is the problem that I have with like what I've seen with history. If you don't keep people like this, or if you keep states like this, we're talking about Russia right now, in a box, they tend to keep moving. And like Ukraine, that's today, that's next month, that's the rest of this year. But what's that in 2 or 3 years when the games have been solidified, the armies have moved and operated? Is that people don't know what Putin wants. Like, people are still asking. He's openly said what he wants. And like the reason why people are like, he's still asking is because they find his demands to be quote unquote unreasonable. His demands are simple. NATO has to go all the way back to their 1994 borders. That's what his demands are.
That's pretty much in keeping with what I was saying earlier. It's what a man can do is what a man will do. And he's going to keep going until he meets resistance somewhere. And so my question is, where do you think, like, there's eventually going to be vehicles and some boots and somebody saying, no, you can't do that no more. You need to stop that. Where is that line? Like, because that's where the end of the fucking world might potentially be, or that's the new North Korea fucking demilitarized zone that we all have to dance around for the next 30 fucking years.
I think there's 3 options here. And the good one is the least likely. The first option is that literally, the first option is that the human wave goes into Europe, breaks Europe. The political divisions within Europe will break down. They can't stay united because they can't agree on anything. People have to figure out what to do with all of these extra people, not along with their security and energy concerns. And basically, everyone's so pissed at each other they can't function together. And it becomes very apparent. And either people openly say that they're leaving NATO, or that it looks so bad that the Russians can just kind of sneak up basically a couple of they can sneak up an entire corps up to the Baltic States border and just kind of roll it. And no one is agreeing with each other enough to show up. The other is that this actually unites NATO. This is the one good outcome, is that somehow the Russians have pissed off everybody to where they're going to openly say, we're not buying your energy, we're not dealing with you in the financial markets, and if we have to huddle together in the cold to tell you to go suck a dick, then that's it. That's the good outcome here, and I don't see that happening. The other one is the other one is
we won. Huddle in the cold.
Yeah, the other one is that basically we go into a Cold War II situation, and it's kind of lukewarm as far as what NATO is going to do, because we'll move troops to Poland, we'll move troops to Romania, we'll move troops to the border, but we're just united enough that we didn't break under the refugee wave. But what happens whenever there's a full corps of Russian troops on the Baltic states? Are we all going to show up? Are we all going to play nice? That's actually the worst case scenario for me. It's not that it's going to be an open blow or bust, but it's going to be that middle ground where no one's quite sure, and the Russians still feel like they have to keep pushing the envelope. That is the nightmare scenario, because that's where you get U.S. and American forces literally engaged in gunfire.
So, wow. So a Cold War II slowly arising. Now, weirdly enough, boy, it's gonna insane. It's gonna really cool a lot of tensions domestically. Is the very odd effect this is going to have in the end? Is that like when you have got an external enemy, suddenly you got people easier to unite. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out over the next few years. But so your general bet, if you had to put a silver dollar down, is that new North Korean demilitarized zone line is going to be somewhere in the Baltic states.
I think it's going to be the Baltic border right now. Is that it's going to be the Baltic border, the Polish border, and the Romanian border with what used to be Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. Like, if you will, you can call it the new Soviet Union, whatever you want to call it. But that's going to be the fire line. And we're literally going to have troops doing operations right on each other's borders, being like, hey, don't fuck with us. And that's going to be the next 5 years, unless the Russians either put forward another invasion on NATO countries, which is very possible, actually. I don't want to undermine this at all. Or the other option is that NATO just falls apart because it's apparently obvious that we all don't want to play on the same page. America doesn't want to go to Eastern Europe, defend it, and then find out that the only ones fighting, number one, and number two, that they're fighting the Russians in Eastern Europe so the Eastern Europeans can buy Russian energy, which makes no sense for them. So yeah, the Americans might not show up. The Europeans don't agree on jack shit, except Russia bad.
Well, I mean, yeah, at one point, like, it's like, no, we're going to war so that the Russians can't deliver cheap and efficient energy to Europe.
Eastern Europe.
What? Wait, what? Like, yeah, it kind of feels like, wait, who thought of this? Oh, now Alesto disagrees. I think we will be in or standing very, very close to helping Ukraine.
The active doctrine that they're going to do is they're going to try to turn Ukraine into Afghanistan for the Russians again. That's what they're going to do.
Jesus fucking Christ. Like, just fucking turning a piece of Europe into fucking Afghanistan. Wow. I mean, Europe. I get it. Yeah. But like, here's the problem that I have with that idea that we're going to be there, Lesto, is that the way our media works, that if we have one dead kid from Indiana, so one dead 20-year-old from Indiana, the media is going to give way more shit about that than the 50,000 people he fucking gave his life trying to protect. Yeah. Okay, so even if they did give a shit, their own media often prevents them from acting. So that's one thing you got to remember is when the bodies start piling up, they're fucking screwed. Because again, like I've said, I'm not willing to spend the blood and treasure to stop Russia from delivering cheap and efficient energy to Eastern Europe. I'm just not willing to do that. Like I even said, like I've got a daughter that's going to be getting the military age in a couple of years, and these wars never fucking end when America gets into them. So that's one of the, yeah, I get more than a little trepid when I fucking hear this kind of shit. And I'm like, no, I don't like hearing any of this at all. So that's at least where I'm at with that, Alesto. But I agree with Ukraine being the new fuck.
Well, the good news is it won't be our Afghanistan. It'll be their Afghanistan.
Whoa. Well, glory be. Oh, fuck. Well, no, because then that means about 30, 40 years, it'll be our Afghanistan. That's the way it always works. So,
yeah, well, you might not be wrong there.
Like, my buddy Tony was making a joke about how, like, oh, okay, I'm sure Biden's sending guns and arms to Ukrainian insurgents that will be used to shoot us in about 15 years. I was like, damn it. That's probably a little close to the fucking, little too close there, man. Because yeah, it's the old adage of, you want to know who's America's going to be fighting in the future? Look who they're arming now.
Well, that's sometimes how it works, but that's actually a bit of a policy problem. And I'm about out of time, so let me just run out with this. Oh, yeah. The big thing that we too hear is that the United States is really big about coalition building with insurgent groups. Is that we'll take the fascist folks over here, the social democrats over here, the communists over here. We'll put them all in one coalition to go beat the shit out of the a particular government that we don't like that day, right? So when we arm Syria, we don't just arm like the pro-democracy forces in Syria. We arm all the Syrians. And then they all, get into it with each other. They get into it with the actual government. And sooner or later, we end up fighting some of the people that we originally armed. ISIS might have not been directly funded by the United States Department of State, but the people who came before ISIS were.
I was about to say, it's like maybe like when they formed a new club called ISIS, that wasn't like that meeting's minutes wasn't put together by the CIA, but
Yeah.
we all know how that kind of goes. It's like anywhere you want to go, unfortunately, with any clandestine group, there's some fucking intelligence agency pulling its strings. Like it doesn't really matter. Like, so if it wasn't the CIA, it would have been fucking I don't. What do they call the KGB these days? Have they changed? Have they what's that?
Their foreign directive service is the SVR. I can't remember what their domestic service is, but
okay.
There's been talk that they're going to rebuild the KGB by putting them back together again. So far, it's not happened, but they got close.
I was about to say, it's like, so did they rebrand? Like, did they go from like Soundgarden to Audio Slave, and they had a slight reshuffle, and now they're gonna have the Soundgarden reunion tour. So, oh god, great! This is. Yeah, but now I think, at this point, if Putin wanted to scare the shit out of the West, just rebrand him to KGB again. Doesn't really matter. It's just changing the letterhead, but it's gonna scare the shit out of us fucking Westerners like you wouldn't believe. Alesto, no, Biden will send guns, drugs, ammo, and more. Biden will send his son as a liaison and a bunch of Biden crack pipes.
Like, oh my God. I gotta get out of here. I can't even do this right now.
Okay. Well, hey, Tiberius, thank you for your time, good sir. You are always welcome here at the K.O.E. Nation, folks. Go to Tiberius D on YouTube. Go to Tiberius D on Twitch. Hell, you're even on Twitter now, ain't you?
I've been on Twitter forever.
Oh gosh, like I need to get me a Twitter. I keep hearing, Phil, you'll have so much fun.
Don't get on there. It's terrible. It's brain rot. Absolute brain rot.
I've heard, and I seem to be a lot happier because I'm not. But Tiberius, thank you, friend of the show. You are welcome here anytime, good sir. And tomorrow night I'm going to be on the Dog and Chicken Show over at, like Tony said earlier, Big Bucket Empire. But tomorrow night, are you doing the Mask Off podcast, sir?
We're debating it right now. We want to do it, but me and the girlfriend are working on getting everything ready for the move over here that we're going to be doing. So like that's actually turning into a 2-week event and just getting it all set up. So I'm literally just going to post up tomorrow. Hey, are we going to be doing this? That's the one you're invited to, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes, sir. I always relish going on to the Mask Off podcast. Great time, but I seem to be just so in high demand all the time. Just Fridays seem to be a good podcasting night. But I always love going on to your show. Your panels are fucking awesome. And I'm looking forward to the next one. I got an opportunity. If you're ever doing one over the weekend, let me know, like a Saturday or a Sunday. I'm fucking always.
So here's the thing. We do a show Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The problem is that like Mask Off, everyone was flooding onto the original Sunday show. And we'd have like 8, 9, 10 people on at one time, and it got to be too much, and sometimes there'd be an argument. And so I had to split it up. Now, the good news with splitting it up is that I've got like people that are like seasonal rotators to where I've got 10 people on the invite list, but only about 6 are going to show up for the Friday and Saturday shows. Hell, last Friday, no one showed the fuck up, which was terrible. So it's just one of those deals. It's all right, buddy. You were hanging with your daughter. I get it.
Yeah, I had my little one. So I have a good excuse. God damn it.
Yes.
I don't know about the rest of all of you.
And then Saturday was a blowout show. We absolutely kicked ass and take names. And I'm just, it's one of those deals where I've got to set up where Friday's pretty good show, Saturday's pretty good show, Sunday's obviously the big one. And the problem is with the Sunday shows, just everyone wants on the damn thing.
Everybody's got time. It's Sunday.
Everyone's got time, but also the big thing about the Sunday show is Connor. Like Connor, that's the one that Connor is on, and so many people want to like get in the weeds with him and talk to him about certain shit. And so, like, unironically, he's great. It's just one of the ways that people want to try to get to Connor is through me, and that is a blessing and a curse.
Oh God! I figured I was just next time I ran to Connor, I was gonna give him an aneurysm because I was gonna like cut a promo on how Legos are better than Warhammer models, and then I also
You did, yeah. I got you.
my buddy Tony's edited my face over the Emperor of Mankind from Warhammer for a bunch of them, so I'm gonna like, all right, Tiberius, you need to put this on the thumbnail for me, like
Oh
me
my
next
God.
to Connor, like yeah, so that's just gonna like he might like.
I might do it myself. Don't get me wrong. I like 40K too, and I do miss my Legos. But yeah, but dude, I am actually over time now, so I've got to get out of here. Take care of yourself, and we'll catch you soon.
Peace. Tiberius D, everybody.
Oh, hit the wrong button. Oh well, no big deal. Take care.
Yep, this ain't like Discord, man.
Yeah.
Later, man. Yes, so there it was, folks. Tiberius D. Yes, here at K.O.E Nation, I'm nothing if not overtime. Let's see. Alesto goes, just like Obama and Biden did with Biden's brother while they were in Afghanistan. Oh my Lord. Yeah, but yeah, so that was the great Tiberius D. Thanks for being here. And yes, check him out on YouTube. Of course, right after you subscribe to KOE Nation on YouTube. You know, it's the right thing to do, folks. That was more than a little enjoyable. Like I always like Tiberius. He's always got a great perspective. He's always well read, well researched. So if you don't agree with them, you better come with either some good arguments or some good research. But yeah, he's one of those folks that's always welcome on this show.
Smooths itself out.
Get back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you down slow, it's hard to survive. El Dorado. Oh, Lord. Well, let's see how that one went.
Yeah.